Thank you so much. I might just say that we're actually part of the federal government. And yeah, we're really looking forward to running you through our work. So I know it's very confusing. There are so many permutations on environment and climate change, and New South Wales have exactly the same acronym. So I'm not surprised people are confused. So yeah, Payal and I would love to join in with the acknowledgement of country and traditional owners' connection with and care for country. We would also like to pay our respects to the elders. And with thanks to Rabbit Free Australia and KISS for the invitation, we're very pleased to present work on national scale rabbit distribution modelling and threat-related impacts. So I'll do some quick scene setting on the problem and our responses, and then Payal will hone in on our work on modelling and threat-related impacts. You will be painfully aware of the extent and impact of invasive species like rabbits because you are actively involved with on-ground management or research. The 2021 State of the Environment report presented a comprehensive national picture. The collectively invasive species were one of the most serious threats to nationally significant biodiversity in places. Our national environmental law provides for the recognition and listing of what are called key threatening processes due to their impact on native species. And many of these listed key threatening processes relate to invasive species, including the listed competition and land degradation by feral rabbits. Next slide, please. The Australian government works to abate threats through a range of measures, from working with states and territories and other key partners to set strategic national direction, to support effective national coordination activities, and also supporting targeted investment like on-ground action. Next slide, please, Payal. The Australian Government's Threatened Species Action Plan guides the protection, management and restoration with respect to 110 priority threatened species and 20 priority places. This action plan works in sync with other levers that are critical to reversing species decline and reducing threats at the national, landscape and species level. This includes other threatened species conservation activities, as well as coordinated action to abate key threats through jointly making and implementing national threat abatement plans with states and territories, like the Feral Cat Threat Abatement Plan, and as will be enhanced through the update of the Rabbit Threat Abatement Plan. Next slide, please, Payal. So I'm going to leave you here with a photo collage of just some of our incredible threatened species that we're working to protect and recover. And hand over to you now, Payal.
Thank you, Emma. So I am talking to you about the modelling we've been doing on rabbit distributions, and take you through the process that we've adopted. So to map the rabbit distribution across Australia, we developed what are called species distribution models in collaboration with the University of Melbourne. These are models that help predict where rabbits are likely to occur in the Australian landscape, so national scale maps, given where they are currently found and the environmental variables at their current location, so variables like climate and soil, amongst other things. Since the rabbit sighting data is primarily from citizen science records, from ALA and feral scan, we also correct for geographical biases in our data. We rely on experts for data and various modeling decisions to best capture the species ecology and geographic variability in species distribution. So for example, from our species experts, we get advice on relevant predictors or errors in the occurrence data. And from our modeling experts, we can get advice on best practice for methods to select variables for the model or model validation and so on. These models are set up as reproducible workflows for transparency so that we can share these for review And we can update these as new information, say on rabbit sightings or environmental conditions become available. From this process, we get maps of current suitable habitats, so not focusing yet on future distributions or spread or invasion fronts. And finally, the experts also help us validate and correct the model outputs based on their understanding of the distribution of the species and drivers of this distribution. Where we are at in this process is that we've completed round 1 of expert elicitation last year to produce the map that I will show you today. We've also completed round 2 and are in the process of collating this feedback and updating our maps. The final maps will be sent back for review and final approval by the experts before being published in June, July this year. And here we want to make sure that the maps, when released, are accompanied with the right caveats for use and interpretation. We restrict the modeling extent by using IBRA region. So that's the background on this left-hand side panel. And we overlay that with occurrence records of rabbits in orange, use a buffer to be able to select this area in light brown, where we do our modeling and therefore our mapping. And so in the preliminary map that you will see this top green bit missing in our maps. The output we get shows darker colors as highly suitable areas for rabbits and lighter colors tending towards yellow as low suitability for rabbits. We rely on what is known as the Boyce index to assess model performance, which is more suitable than the more widely used AUC metric because we're using presence-only data. But both the metrics show overall good performance. And according to the experts, the model performs relatively well. They picked up on certain areas as examples as to where they thought it helped validate what the model was showing us. So they were happy with high suitability in the Atherton tablelands that was being picked up correctly. Patterns along the coast or along the waterways were being picked up, as well as the suitability in Western Australia. But there are some areas that seem not so accurate, and we need to investigate that further, of course. So we got comments like the ones that are shown on screen. And these gave us ideas as to how to go back and what to investigate or what to fix in the model to improve the patterns in the map. So, for example, experts said Strzelecki and Simpson Desert appear too dark, perhaps reflecting the pre-RHTV records. And that tells us that perhaps we can go and explore the models and split them into pre- and post-1996 occurrence records and see the differences. There was also some discussion about how the different variables were contributing to the patterns we saw in the map. And we will go back and look at some of the precipitation, moisture-related variables and see how they are driving these patterns, as well as consider adding certain new variables like canopy height or closed forest layers to correct for the areas in Western Tasmania that come out as highly suitable, because we know this is not correct due to the dense forests in that region. Now, how this information is used in threat abatement planning, this work is part of a much larger project, a pilot project rather, that maps 10 invasive species, so from foxes, Phytophthora, chytrid, etc., and asks how these impact threatened species. So the project combines information on distribution of threats, distribution of threatened species, and expert assessments on susceptibility of the threatened species to the threat. This method of assessing susceptibility is still under development, and so while some of these assessments have been done, for example, for foxes, chytrid, and some of the other threats, we do not yet have rabbit-related susceptibility information. But as we develop the maps and the models, this work will be considered as part of the update of the threat abatement plan for competition and land degradation by rabbits. How we will deliver this Yes, thank you. How we will deliver this information when ready is through a mapping tool which will show information on threats, threatened species, and their impact. So on the screen, you can see that for threatened species, each listed threatened species across the different taxa of frogs, amphibians, plants, invertebrates, we will be able to see the area of overlap with the threats, the susceptibility of that species to the threat, associated management document. For the threats, we can see their distributions and certain impact metrics that we're still working on. And all of this can be overlaid with boundary regions such as NRMs and so on. What we deliver from this project is the first pass at this mapping. And so we've set ourselves up so that we can engage and update our models iteratively as new information becomes available and as we get more advice from experts. We've been very fortunate to have people from this forum as our experts to critique our maps and thus far and help us improve our methods and outputs. We also recognize the efforts of this community in providing the data on rabbit sightings that has enabled us to model these distributions. And we will continue to seek engagement from you and invite you to get in touch with data or advice. And we will also be reaching out to seek your feedback on this mapping tool when it is ready. So please get in touch. Thank you.